Hey Cancer, welcome back. I just pulled cards for you, and honestly, the energy coming through right now is really something special. I wanted to talk about what happens when your higher self actually starts guiding your path. And the cards that came out are giving me so much to share with you. So I'm sitting here with my deck, and the first card I pulled is the Knight of Cups. You know what's interesting about this? When your higher self takes the lead, Cancer, it doesn't show up as some dramatic voice from the sky. It shows up as this gentle pull toward emotional authenticity. The Knight of Cups is telling me that your higher self is guiding you to approach life from a place of genuine feeling rather than fear or obligation. I see this playing out where you might start noticing that certain situations just don't feel right anymore, even if logically they should. That's your higher self speaking through your emotional body. This knight isn't rushing anywhere. He's moving with intention, carrying that cup of emotional truth very carefully. For you specifically, Cancer, this means your intuition is about to become your primary navigation system. You know those moments when you just know something without knowing how you know it? That's about to become more frequent and more trustworthy. Your higher self is teaching you that emotional intelligence isn't weakness, it's actually your greatest strength and most reliable compass. I'm seeing situations where you'll be guided to express feelings you've been holding back, not in a dramatic way, but in a way that feels deeply true to who you are. This card is also showing me that creative or romantic opportunities are going to present themselves, and your higher self will guide you to the ones that actually align with your soul's purpose, rather than just your ego's desires. The second card that came out is the Ten of Swords. And I know this looks intense, but stay with me because this is actually really powerful. When your higher self takes the lead, one of the first things it does is help you release old mental patterns that have been keeping you stuck. The Ten of Swords represents a complete mental ending, a final release of thoughts and beliefs that no longer serve you. For Cancer, this is particularly significant because you tend to hold on to emotional memories and the mental stories attached to them. Your higher self is stepping in to say, enough is enough with the overthinking and the worst-case scenarios you create in your mind. I'm seeing this manifest as a sudden clarity where you just stop engaging with certain thought patterns. You know how you can spend hours replaying conversations or worrying about what might go wrong? Your higher self is going to help you recognize when you're doing that and gently redirect you. This isn't about toxic positivity or pretending everything is fine. It's about recognizing when your mind is creating suffering that doesn't actually exist in reality. The transformation here is profound because once these old mental patterns are cleared out, there's so much more space for your higher wisdom to come through. I'm also getting that some of you might experience this as a moment of surrender, where you finally stop trying to control outcomes through excessive planning and worrying. Your higher self knows that real security comes from trust, not from mentally preparing for every possible disaster. Now, the third card is the Four of Swords, and this is giving me goosebumps because it connects so perfectly to what I was just saying. When your higher self starts leading, it's going to guide you into periods of rest and contemplation that might feel uncomfortable at first. Cancer, you're someone who can get caught up in emotional labor and taking care of everyone else, and your higher self knows you need to pause and turn inward. This card is showing me that you're being guided to create space for meditation, reflection, or just quiet time where you're not doing anything productive in the conventional sense. I know that might feel selfish or lazy to you, but your higher self understands that this stillness is where real wisdom emerges. During these quiet moments, you're going to receive downloads of insight that would never come through the noise of constant activity. I'm seeing some of you might be guided to take a break from a situation or relationship, not permanently, but just to get clear perspective. Your higher self knows that sometimes the best action is strategic rest. This is also about mental and emotional recovery. If you've been through something difficult recently, your higher self is saying it's time to truly recuperate, not just push through. The guidance coming through is very clear that you need to honor your need for retreat without guilt. The fourth card I pulled is Death. And before you get worried, this is actually one of the most beautiful cards in the context of higher self guidance. This card is telling me that when your higher self takes the lead, it initiates a complete transformation of your identity. Cancer, you've been holding on to a version of yourself that you've outgrown, and your higher self is ready to help you shed that old skin. This isn't about becoming someone new. It's about revealing who you've always been underneath the conditioning and expectations. I'm seeing this play out as situations where you'll be guided to make choices that the old you would never have made. Maybe it's setting a boundary you've never set before, or pursuing something your family doesn't understand, or walking away from something that looks good on paper but feels dead inside. Your higher self is working through this death energy to clear away everything that's blocking your authentic expression. For some of you, this might involve releasing relationships, career paths, or even beliefs about yourself that have defined you for years. The transformation is deep and it might feel scary, but your higher self is holding your hand through the entire process. What's dying is not who you are, it's who you thought you had to be. And what's being born is so much more aligned with your soul's truth. The fifth card is the Ten of Wands, and this is really interesting in the context of higher self-guidance. I'm seeing that part of what your higher self wants to address is the burden you've been carrying that isn't actually yours to carry. Cancer, you have this tendency to take on other people's emotional weight, to feel responsible for things you can't control, and your higher self is saying it's time to put some of those burdens down. This card is showing me that you've been operating under the belief that you have to do everything yourself, that if you don't carry it all, everything will fall apart. Your higher self is gently challenging that belief. I'm getting that you'll be guided to delegate, to ask for help, to recognize what's truly your responsibility, and what you've taken on out of guilt or conditioning. The guidance here is very practical. Your higher self isn't just giving you spiritual insights, it's helping you restructure your daily life in a way that's sustainable. I'm seeing some of you might be guided to let go of commitments that drain you, to say no more often, to recognize that your energy is precious and needs to be spent wisely. This isn't about being selfish, it's about being responsible to yourself. Your higher self knows that when you're depleted and overwhelmed, you can't actually help anyone effectively anyway. The sixth card that came through is the Knight of Swords, and the energy shifted pretty noticeably when I pulled this one. When your higher self takes the lead, Cancer, it's going to push you out of your emotional comfort zone sometimes. The Knight of Swords brings mental clarity and the courage to speak your truth, even when it's uncomfortable. I'm seeing that your higher self is going to guide you into conversations you've been avoiding, situations where you need to be direct and clear rather than passive or accommodating. This might feel foreign to you because Cancer energy is usually more gentle and indirect, but your higher self knows there are times when directness is required. I'm getting that some of you will be guided to confront issues you've been tiptoeing around, not in an aggressive way, but in a way that's honest and clear. Your higher self is teaching you that real kindness sometimes looks like honesty, not just keeping the peace. This card is also showing me that you're going to experience bursts of mental clarity where suddenly you just see things as they are, without the emotional fog that usually clouds your perception. These moments of clarity are gifts from your higher self, and they'll often come with the impulse to act on what you see. Trust those impulses. Your higher self is helping you develop discernment about when to be gentle and when to be direct, and that balance is going to serve you incredibly well. The seventh card is the Four of Pentacles, and this is revealing something really important about your journey. When your higher self takes the lead, it's going to address your relationship with security and control. Cancer, you have a strong need for emotional and material security, and sometimes that need can become fear-based holding on. This card is showing me that your higher self is going to guide you to examine where you're gripping too tightly out of fear rather than genuine need. I'm seeing this might show up around money, where you're guided to invest in yourself or your growth even though it feels risky. Or it might show up in relationships, where your higher self helps you see that trying to control outcomes is actually preventing the natural flow of connection. The guidance here is subtle but powerful. Your higher self isn't asking you to be reckless or irresponsible with your resources. It's asking you to notice the difference between wise caution and fear-based restriction. I'm getting that some of you might be guided to open up financially or emotionally in ways that feel vulnerable, and that vulnerability is going to lead to growth you couldn't access while you were closed off. Your higher self understands your need for security, but it also knows that real security comes from trusting yourself to handle whatever comes, not from controlling everything around you. The eighth card I pulled is the Ace of Wands, and the energy just got so vibrant with this one. When your higher self takes the lead, Cancer, it ignites your creative life force in ways you haven't experienced before. This ace is pure potential, pure creative fire, and it's showing me that you're being guided toward new beginnings that excite you on a soul level. Your higher self is opening you up to inspiration, passion, and the courage to start something new. I'm seeing some of you might be guided to pursue a creative project, start a business, or initiate something that's been living in your imagination for a while. The key difference when your higher self is leading is that you're not overthinking it or waiting until conditions are perfect, you're just taking that first step because it feels right. This card is also about sexual and creative energy awakening within you. Your higher self is helping you reconnect with your vitality, your passion, your sense of being alive and engaged with life. For Cancer specifically, this is significant because you can get so caught up in caretaking and emotional responsibility that you forget about your own creative fire. Your higher self is reigniting that fire and showing you that pursuing what excites you isn't selfish, it's essential. I'm also getting that this new beginning has spiritual significance. It's not just about the outer result, but about you stepping into a more authentic expression of who you are. The ninth card is the Nine of Pentacles. And this card just brings such a beautiful energy of self-sufficiency and grace. When your higher self takes the lead, Cancer, it guides you toward a place of genuine independence and self-reliance. This isn't about not needing others. It's about not needing others to complete you or validate your worth. I'm seeing that your higher self is working to help you develop a sense of inner abundance, where you recognize that you have everything you need within yourself. This card shows a figure surrounded by beauty and prosperity that they've created through their own efforts and wisdom. Your higher self is guiding you to create that kind of life for yourself, one that reflects your values and your taste, not what others expect of you. For some of you, this might manifest as financial independence or career success, but the deeper message is about emotional and spiritual self-sufficiency. Your higher self is teaching you that you can provide for yourself emotionally, that you don't need to depend on others for your sense of security or happiness. I'm also getting that this card represents a harvest phase where you're going to see the results of work you've been doing on yourself. Your higher self has been guiding you even when you didn't realize it, and now you're entering a phase where you get to enjoy the fruits of that growth. The 10th and final card I pulled is also the Nine of Pentacles, which is really unusual, but I'm going to honor what came through. Actually, let me reshuffle because I want to give you the right final card here. Okay? The actual 10th card is the Emperor. This is powerful, Cancer. When your higher self fully takes the lead, it helps you develop your inner authority and structure. The Emperor represents mature masculine energy, which for Cancer can be about learning to set clear boundaries, create solid foundations, and lead your own life with confidence. Your higher self is guiding you to step into your power, not in a dominating way, but in a way that's grounded and certain. I'm seeing that you're being guided to create structures in your life that support your well-being and goals. This might be establishing routines, setting up systems, or creating boundaries that protect your energy. Your higher self knows that Cancer's emotional fluidity needs some container to give it form and direction. This card is also about taking responsibility for your life in a mature way, not blaming circumstances or other people for where you are, but recognizing your power to shape your reality. For some of you, your higher self might be guiding you into leadership roles or situations where you need to step up and take charge. The guidance here is to embrace your capability and authority without apologizing for it. Your higher self sees you as strong, capable, and worthy of respect, and it's helping you see yourself that way too. So Cancer, looking at all these cards together, what I'm seeing is that when your higher self takes the lead, it initiates a complete transformation of how you move through the world. You're being guided from emotional authenticity through the release of old mental patterns into necessary rest and deep transformation. You're learning to put down burdens that aren't yours and speak your truth with clarity. You're being asked to examine your relationship with security and control while simultaneously igniting your creative fire. And ultimately, you're being guided toward genuine self-sufficiency and the development of your inner authority. This isn't about becoming someone you're not, Cancer. This is about your higher self clearing away everything that's been blocking the fullest expression of who you truly are. The journey involves some uncomfortable moments of release and change, but it's leading you somewhere so much more aligned with your soul's purpose. I'd love to know if any of this resonates with what you've been experiencing lately. Have you been feeling these subtle shifts in how you approach your life? Sometimes we don't realize our higher self has been guiding us until we look back and see the pattern. Thanks for being here with me for this reading. I'll see you in the next one.